Hey, good afternoon, Math 2 crew. We're looking at section 7.1, page 375, and we're going to be finding the GCF, greatest common factor, of pairs of monomials and also sets of three. So let's just start. Okay, 15 and 35. Let's look at 15 as being and of course 35x squared, that would be five's in common, and the lowest power, lowest common power that is x squared. Now I do know that the variable x is common to both, but x squared is the lowest power. And so, my GCF, greatest common factor, 5x squared. I just want to make one quick comment about 5x squared. If I look at 15x to the 4th, 5x squared times 3x squared equals 15x to the 4th. And 35x squared equals 5x squared times 7. And so the largest common factor between these two monomials is 5x squared. You see that? I won't do that every single time. I'm not going to show that step. Just an observation. Number 2. Same idea. The greatest common factor appears to be 3. So I'll pause to break it down. So the GCF looks like it's 3, and t to the third or first power, that's the lowest power there, next question. Okay. Between the two monomials, I can see that 12 is what they have in common. And so the GCF is 12. Number 7. Okay, so there are no coefficients, so I'll leave that as is. And what I notice about these two is that they have a variable m in common and also a variable n. So let's take the lowest power of each. And so the greatest common factor between these two would be m to the 6th. Okay, so I'll write that down. Lowest common, I said the common factor, that's a bad way of saying it. The lowest power is m to the 6th. Greatest common factor between your variable m's. The lowest power here is n, and that's the greatest common factor of your variable n. Of course, 1 or negative, the negative sign represents negative 1, and 3 and negative 1 don't have a common factor except 1, so leave it as is. Okay. So again, Always looking for that lowest common power. Now, the difference here is we're not looking at a pair of monomials. We're looking at a set. There's 3 monomials. So you have to find the common factor in each of the 3 monomials. So 5, x to the third. It's just 5 times x to the third. 15 is 5 times 3 times x squared. 45x to the fifth would be okay. So all 3 have 5 in common, and all 3 have the variable x in common. So 5 is the GCF, and also x is part of the GCF, and the lowest power is 2. So GCF is 5x squared. Alrighty, here 6, 18, and 24. Okay, so we've got 3, and I will, without having to factor these out, I can see that 6 is the greatest common factor. Okay, 6 goes into 6, 6 goes into 18 3 times, 6 goes into 24 4 times. And so my GCF, without showing all of the work, 6. And now let's look at the common variables. So s, and which is the lowest power there? S to the first. And then finally, let's look at our t. T variable. T to the third, t to t, and there we go. Greatest common factor is 6st. Okay, again, another set of 3. So we're looking at 12, 12, and 12. That's part of our GCF. Okay, let's look at our common variables. The lowest power there is a, right? And our common variables for the letter B. And the lowest power there is B. Now, six, 3, and negative 3. I don't include the negative sign. And so 3 is the common factor. Okay? Of the coefficients. Okay, common factor of coefficients. Now what are the common factors of its variable? It's got m to the fourth, m to the second, and m. One with the lowest power is, of course, m. And n, is that common to all 3? And I'd like to think so. Here it is. N is the lowest power. So we're making good time looking at these questions. Really good time. Find the GCF of each pair of expressions. Now these expressions are different. You'll notice that you have a grouping symbol. So it changes the look of our question. So we could call these coefficients of the expression. So 5 times the quantity x minus 3, 25 times the quantity x minus 3 to the third power. 25 and 5. What factors do they have in common? It would be 5. Okay? And now look at the other expressions. What do they have in common? Now remember, you're looking at the whole expression grouped in parentheses. You're not just looking at the x. That's not a factor. Remember, factors are separated by multiplication sign, or a grouping symbol representing multiplication. So x minus 3, those aren't factors. Those are called terms. The factor is x, the quantity x minus 3, and the quantity x minus 3. Those are factors. So when you look at that, this would have a first power, and this would have a third power, which is the smallest power. What's the first power? That would be your answer. Ready? Okay, same idea here. In fact, I have 8 as the greatest common factor. Okay. And t plus 1 is the expression that they have in common. What's the lowest power? 3 or 6? 3. There's your GCF. Lots of questions like this that we're practicing so we can get used to it. Twelve and 2, greatest common factor is 2. Our expression, common factor they have, the common factor is a minus 4. And the lowest power, 4. All right, that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. I hope it was helpful. Hey, remember, study hard and learn a lot. Bye-bye, and we'll see you tomorrow.